Good afternoon, Sports Recap fam. I'm here to give you the numbers you need to know about last week's Notre Dame game and this week's upcoming Georgia Tech game. The first number you need to know is 510. That is the number of yards that UNC offense got on Notre Dame's defense. For the first time in a while, we saw a great offensive performance. And it was awesome. Our offense definitely held their own. UNC went up there and held their own at Notre Dame. So that was good. That was encouraging to see. I think a major part of this is because of our next number, the number 1. One quarterback played this entire game, Marquise Williams. And let me read you his stats because he had an amazing day. Marquise Williams, 24 for 41, 303 yards, 2 passing touchdowns to 1 interception. 18 carries, 132 rushing yards, 1 rush TD. 1 reception, 23 yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Marquise Williams put the team on his back. And the interception, at the moment, it was a back-breaking interception. But you can't question this guy's heart. Like, he's out there playing his behind off. So, I want to stick with him. I always wanted the veteran over the freshman. There's no difference between them, in my opinion, to go with one or the other. I'll take the veteran. Right now, I'll take the veteran. And after Notre Dame, there's no reason for him not to be playing. And perhaps be the only one playing. Next number you need to know is 204. That's the amount of points that UNC has allowed in the last 4 games. I cannot stand the statistic. I'll be honest with y'all. Because what the statistic does is it brings that 70 points that UNC allowed at ECU, it brings that back into the fray. Now, I'm not sitting here and acting like we should just abandon those 70 points altogether. But our defense, they're improving. And Notre Dame's a really great team. So that gets lost in that when people just throw those or stack the points together. And then they stack them up together to look like our defense is at fault. Did y'all watch the Virginia Tech game a couple weeks ago? I mean, I think our offense had a lot to do with those points more than our defense. Because Virginia Tech just sat on that ball. And every time our offense had a chance to like get some yards going or get a drive going, they would just be off the field again. So, I don't like that style. Our defense has issues, yeah, but don't compound the mistakes altogether. Any statistic, defensive statistic, that's going to include the ECU game is at this point doing too much. It's doing too much. So, just live in the moment. You can't say this defense go out there and shut teams out, but they're playing their hearts out right now. And they're getting some takeaways. While they're allowing a lot of those points, most of those points, vast majority of those points, they have also given UNC points in the 4 category. The 14-0 lead, I think the defense had a lot to do with that at Notre Dame. Just saying. So don't malign the defense all the freaking time. Okay? Next number, 21-0. That was the run that Notre Dame had to take a lead after UNC led 14-0. So while our defense looked like a deer in headlights for that sequence and allowed like 3 straight touchdowns, our offense kept going 3 and out or drives that led to no points. So when runs like this happen, both sides are at fault. Not to mention the special teams that we haven't gotten anything out of pretty much this season. So just make sure you're looking at the team as a whole when you sit there and malign one phase over the other. Just saying. Okay, next number you need to know is 15. 15 is the amount of yards given up on the roughing the snapper penalty at Notre Dame that, in my opinion, can completely change the game. I'm not here to tell you that UNC would have won the game or that penalty was the reason UNC lost the game, but it certainly changed the momentum. At this point, it was a 4th and 18, excuse me, and Nokeithus Others, I think, pushed center a little bit after he got up, and the referee flagged it. And I've never heard of this penalty in my life. It was 15 yards and an automatic first down, and it changed momentum because UNC was about to get this ball back, and they were up 1 at this point. Our offense was cranking, so no telling what our offense could have done had they got the ball back instead of our defense having to sit on the field much longer because of a penalty that, in my opinion, was bogus. If you go back and look at the replay, and once you figure out what the rule was, you still couldn't understand why they called it right there. It was a bad application of the rule. But later we found out that the head coach of Notre Dame, Brian Kelly, was complaining about this call all freaking game. So when there was an opportunity to throw the flag on it, the refs took the full opportunity to do so. And it really crushed UNC's momentum. So I'm not sitting here and saying that that was the reason we lost the game, but it's noted. It's noted. We can't sit there and act like it didn't change something, because the momentum went from one side to the other on that penalty. Last number you need to know going into this game this Saturday, 2008. 2008 is the last time that UNC has outscored a Georgia Tech team. And I say outscored because the last time they won was 2004. Remember, 2008 was vacated by the NCAA. 2008 was also the first year that Paul Johnson came to Georgia Tech. So clearly he's had our number after his first year, and we need to fix that. I think a lot of people are starting to say what I've been saying for years about what UNC needs to do when we play Georgia Tech. And that's be efficient on offense. You cannot have empty possessions, and you cannot give Georgia Tech short fields. Last year, the defense did their job for the better part of 3 quarters before falling apart in the fourth. But the offense had moments where they could have blown Georgia Tech out of Bobby Dodd Stadium, and they didn't do so. 2 years ago, while the defense was like a complete deer in headlights the entire time, the offense gave Georgia Tech, I think, 2 short fields. They allowed a punt return. So you can sit there and say that 50 points is enough to win a game, but it wasn't enough to win that game. 7 of those points came off of a pick 6 by our defense, and our defense was put in like 3 or 4 difficult positions, and there were points scored when they weren't even on the field. So, I mean, understand what's going on when we play Georgia Tech. Our offense needs to be efficient and get points every time. Our defense needs to put Georgia Tech behind the chains. And we need game-changing plays on special teams, because they've been a non-factor this entire time. So, we just need all 3 phases going. Georgia Tech is favored by 3 points this Saturday. This line originally started as a pick'em. So, nobody's having confidence in UNC, probably because of our defense. But if our coaches do the right thing and keep Marquise in there, like this offense is very much rhythm based. Marquise is a rhythm quarterback, so when they do that 2 quarterback circus, that doesn't help Marquise. But I don't think it helps the offense, period. Because even if they did the exact same thing, the receivers probably fill the ball differently. I'm pretty sure they throw the ball a little bit differently. So the receivers have to anticipate a little differently based on which quarterback gets in. It's just too many variables that are in play. So just stick with Marquise. Let's break this streak. Rec GT. Let's go.